What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. Get this. Eubank Jr. on the Benn fight. He says that we now have our own reasoning for wanting the fight. Chris Eubank Jr. thinks that his rivalry with Conor Benn just became a whole lot less manufactured. Eubank Jr. and Benn were originally scheduled to face each other in early October in an all-British affair that was billed as a generational grudge match between their fathers produced England's most famous boxing rivalry. Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn captivated British boxing fans with their two fights in the early 1990s. The announcement of their son's fight seemed to strike a chord with the boxing public, despite the fact that outside of their distinguished lineages, Eubank Jr. and Benn were not organically adversaries. Their match was eventually canceled after it was revealed by the Daily Mail 3 days out from the fight that Benn tested positive for the banned substance clomiphene, a drug used to treat fertility or infertility in women, but when used by men, it boosts testosterone. Okay, levels can act as a masking agent. It was later revealed that Benn had tested positive for the same substance earlier in the summer, something that neither he nor his promoter Eddie Hearn of Matchroom disclosed in the wake of the bombshell leak by the Daily Mail. Eubank Jr. has indicated that he may never forgive Benn for the failed drug tests, but that does not mean he has no desire to fight his countrymen. In fact, because of Benn's scandal, Eubank Jr. believes their rivalry for the first time can stand on its own, people. Apart from the accomplishments of their fathers, Eubank Jr. and Nigel Benn, to be sure, was all for moving forward with the fight with Benn after he learned of the positive test roughly 2 weeks before it became public knowledge. He said, "I think so," Eubank said. "I hope so. Now we have our own story. Now we have our own reasoning for wanting to fight. Now it's not just your father's fault. So now you guys should fight. Now we have our own thing. Now we have our own score to settle." Okay? Those are the words of Chris Eubank Jr. And let me counterpunch. Guys, I told you, and I told you. Once the whistle blew about those particular fighters not fighting because of what kept them from fighting, because of the clomiphene, the scandal, the backstory that we didn't know of, right? I said to you guys, that's going to be the reason they're going to fight, and they're going to fight hard, and it's going to be bigger than it ever probably was supposed to be. Okay? These guys have supposed to fought and made millions of dollars off the backs of their fathers. Now these guys are going to make millions of dollars off the backs of themselves. And I told you guys that. I said this is going to make it bigger because now Chris Eubank Jr., of course, his dad, he already lost a son. So you know he's going to motivate Chris to come in, not at that 157. He's probably going to have him going in at 160 now. The shit's going to change, people. Okay, the whole game's going to change. The rules, the stipulations in the contract, everything is going to change. Okay? And also what's going to change, of course, is the motive. The motive for this fight's going to change. Because Chris Eubank Jr. is like, look, you, for whatever reason, had whatever in your system, for whatever tested for this, for whatever reason, right? And I didn't get paid. Okay? And if you did try to do that, because, you know, if he proves his innocence or whatever, I don't think it really matters from the perception of the public. Why? Because if you're a clean fighter, okay, you, first of all, if you're a clean fighter and you knew you were clean, only you and God are going to know that. You, God, and your team. Well, really, you and God. Because your team really not going to know. They're not around you 24/7. So your people, it's going to be hard to prove anytime that he's not a cheat. All he can do from this point is not cheat or not test positive. That's the only way people are going to look at him with in their eyes as a formidable opponent, champion, or whatever. Okay? They're going to look at him exactly the same way they're looking at Jarrell Big Baby Miller. They're not going to look at him any difference. And God forbids he goes into his next fight and looks shitty. Okay? Because then they're going to know, like, well, wait a minute. Why was he knocking guys out, screaming to the top of his lungs after he KO'd Chris Algieri and others, that other people couldn't even do that? Now he looks like he's the little Conor Benn before. Okay? So all he has to really do is keep winning. But that's not going to go away. And where it's not going to go away at, in the mind of Chris Eubank Jr. Okay, our senior, to really be fair, but Junior especially, because Junior was going to be the one that climbed into the ring against someone that may or may not been juiced the fuck up. Okay, so we don't really know how that would have played out, but we do know perception is a mother sucker, people. Okay, and I think that Chris Eubank Jr. will see this as an opportunity to get back at Conor Benn because, again, he may or may not been attempted to be cheated on. Especially a person that's not familiar with cheating at all, that just familiar with good genetics and working hard. You know, so he's not going to respect that at all. In fact, he's going to think the opposite. He's going to be offended. And that's what I'm talking about. He feels offended that Conor may or may not cheated him. Regardless of what comes out, I'm innocent, I'm this, I'm that, the ban or whatever. You know, Chris Eubank Jr. knows I didn't get paid and it's all your fault. Okay? I don't give a shit what you had or didn't have. We didn't fight. I didn't get my money because of you. Okay? And if you tried to cheat me, yeah, that's on you too. Bars. Right? So I told you guys, I see this. It's going to be a bigger fight because now they got a reason to fight. No ifs, ands, or buts. These guys are going to fight, and it's going to be a lot worse, and it's going to be a lot emotional. And I think Chris Eubank Jr. is going to try to be cool, but I think you're going to see some emotion this time out of Chris Eubank Jr. Then you're definitely going to see it from Senior. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Chris Eubank Jr. saying, now we have a reason to fight. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.